Okay guys, let me show you my new batch of cigars. Open this thing. So I got the JR Ultimate. I got a pack of Onyx. I got a pack of the Bone Shaker. And I got a pack of these Burka. Says here Colorado, but it doesn't say on the cigar. It says Burka Legacy. So I already smoked one of these. It's not bad. It's lacking some flavor. I started smoking this one, but I had to turn it off. I'm gonna finish it today in the patio. So let me close this up here. Okay. Turn that off. It cooled down to a warm 82. I think it says there, 82 and a half. The other day, I was gonna smoke a cigar and it went up to 90, 92. It was very hot. I said no, so I canceled. Oh, let me show you the fountain. The flowers are a little bit, because the heat, they're getting a little bit wilted. But the fountain is working very nicely. And it's got the water reservoir down there, and then the flowers around it. It doesn't look too bad. The corner of the garden here is looking very nice. Okay, so let me sit down. Now we're getting a nice breeze from the ocean. So I'm gonna sit here and just smoke my cigar. And I already have my espresso. And it's cooling off a little bit, but it's still gonna be warm during the whole week, because there's a heat wave coming through. So thinking of going to the boat tomorrow. I already went and I brought back the dinghy motor that it needed to be started, and I tried to crank it over there, but it wouldn't go. And I said, well, maybe it has that carburetor clogged with caramelized fuel, because the fuel has oil. So I brought it back here, emptied the fuel, put some new fuel in there, disconnected the hose that goes to the carb, and got some carburetor cleaner shot in there with it. Give it a shot, hooked it back up, and then started trying to, and then I put a little bit of the gas back, or the one with the oil, and I started it, and I left it running for, I don't know, 10 minutes, sitting in a bucket of water. So it's running. So I took it back and I placed it back on the boat. I didn't even do anything else because it was too hot. So I'm going back on Saturday, possibly tomorrow, and stay overnight. I have an air conditioning inside the cab, so I'm not worried about the heat there. Let's see. So on the Gorka, and on the Gorka, it's a brand that some guy from either India or Pakistan came up with. He wanted to have his own brand, and he went to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and he asked the growers, which they're all Cubans, loaded tobacco growers, and he said, listen, I want you to make this cigar with this blend and that other blend. He had an idea what he wanted, even though he probably is not an expert, but the people there were kind of listening to him and going, what does this guy want? This, he wasn't making any sense, I guess, and they were kind of ignoring him. Say, where did this guy come from? Who is he? And he kept pestering them until finally one of them said, okay, well, let me write this down and see what you want. And I don't know exactly the combo of leaves that he wanted. Maybe he wanted leaves from this particular farm, and then in another region he wanted to mix it with that region, and every the land has different every tobacco region has a little bit different minerals, in the ground, and that gives the leaf a different flavor. So he came up with his own mix. Now the big bundle that I bought, that I shouldn't have bought it, the Legend, I already smoked one, and it was a little on the weak side, even though it had good color. But the internals had a little bit of weakness. It's lacking in aroma, and it's lacking a little bit in flavor. I've had a Gurkha Warrior that a neighbor up the street here a few years ago, he let me have one. It's kind of short and fat, and I said, okay, I'll try it, and it smoked pretty good. I like that one, but I couldn't find it when I went to JR Cigars. I couldn't find that one, so I said, okay, I'll buy the other one, and thinking that the Gurkha was going to be good like the Warrior. The Legacy wasn't like this, so now I got a pack of 25, 24. I already smoked one. That basically, if I'm having a gathering or whatever, I'm going to be giving those away. I don't think I'm going to be smoking the whole thing. But as far as the construction is concerned, it's tight, hand roll. It keeps its form, and it doesn't fall apart. Some cigars, you start smoking them and they start peeling off. I know a couple of brands, I'm not going to mention, but they have a habit of doing that. And also it has to do with the humidor. If you don't have enough humidity, they'll start drying up, and that could happen. Now this one, the Bone Shaker, it says here, strongly handmade Nicaraguan. That's all it says. This one has more flavor and definitely a good aroma. Very good aroma. I'm surprised with this one, and I only bought 5 of these instead of a pack of 20 like I should have. I bought 5 because I never heard of this one. I said, let me try, but I'm always looking at the color, and the color on this one was very favorable. I like it. And so far it's kept together, and it's got a very good, as soon as I turn it on, I say, okay, this is a good smoke right here. So being that the temperature finally came down a little bit, and it was overcast a little bit this morning, I decided to finish up the cigar because I started smoking it, but it was too late. It was already nighttime, dinner time, and I said, and I smoked only about maybe half an inch. I cut it off. So being that this is a let's call it recycle. There's a there's a guy on YouTube that he said his friend called it. He gave me a name. I can't remember. He gave it a name to a cigar that you don't finish. You cut, and then you relit a day or two later. Well, being that this one is that type of cigar now that I cut uh, 2 days ago, I think. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't smell bad, and it doesn't bite. It's not bitter. It draws very well, consistent and even, and it's burning pretty even too. Uh, oh, there's a in the cigar business. Well, I don't think everybody knows, but there's a wise tale that says that when you smoke a cigar and it starts burning more on one side than the other, so when you're smoking, this area is all ash and you have this lip on the hair that it hasn't been touched by the flame, it means that you're a jealous person. It has happened to me, so maybe I am in a way. Anyways, well, I got some good news. Not only did I get the wilderness tag this year, so I can go backpacking in, for some reason, the fishing game has offset the date on the openings for the other seasons, not other seasons, the other areas, hunting areas. So that allows me to buy another area a week earlier on the opening, and I can still go on the second week. I can go to the wilderness area, which is a drawing. It's a draw for the tag. So I'm gonna buy the area that you can buy over the counter. So I'm planning on going and staying for. I have to stay a week because the opening is a Saturday in one area, and then the next Saturday is the opening for the other area. So I think the reason they did this is because it's double the income in their department. Like me, I'm buying 2 tags now instead of just one. And they did this once a long time ago, and I don't understand why they didn't keep repeating it, because obviously a lot of people want to do that. You know, they want to be able to hunt this area and hunt the other. But when you open everything on the same date, you can only go to one spot. Well, this way you can go to many different ones. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prep the truck because I'm going to be staying for the first hunt. I'm going to stay in the truck in the camper. The second hunt is going to be backpacking. So to me that's good news. I'm gonna enjoy that because you don't get that chance twice. You don't get that every day, every year. So it's nice and breezy now. We're getting that ocean breeze. Everything around me is moving. So yeah. So now what I gotta do is I also gotta take the rifle to the range and make sure it's on the money. And I gotta sight in the other 308. And I always like to take 2 rifles just in case you drop one, you damage it, especially the scope. And now the rifle is useless because you can't aim anything because you damage the scope. So I always take two rifles. So the other rifle with the red dot, that's gonna be for the close-in forest, the thick forest. The shot's gonna be, you're lucky if you get 100 yards, and that's perfect for the lever rifle. And then from the open areas, I'm gonna take the Ruger. So I always take 2. I gotta sight in the liver browning. Uh, One thing I'm considering also is that I'm looking into the 10 millimeter handgun. I got a 357 that I'm gonna get rid of. I think revolver, and I want to see if I can get me a semi-auto 10 millimeter. Uh, the thing is that most of those guns, you know, you got the Glock and you got the M&P. You know, there's a whole bunch of different ones. They all come with a 15 shot clip. In California, that's not allowed. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna go about it. Do they sell one with a 10 shot clip? Maybe they do. I haven't really looked into it. I want to find out. Um, it's always good to have a backup. There's a lot of bears up there, and then if you do get a deer and you start gutting it or whatever, you don't want to turn around. There's a bear there, you know, growling at you because he wants you off his kill. He's gonna claim it. Say that's mine. Get out and come charging. So you need to have something to protect yourself. And I hear that the 10 millimeter is the way to go because it has enough impact. It's fatter than the. I think it's fatter than the 357 ammo. 158 or 180 grain. I really don't know much about the 10 millimeter, even though it's been around for a long, long time. The first time I saw that gun was in that show, um, Miami Vice. That was in the 80s. That's a long time. And people were saying it kicks too much, and you know, didn't really. I wasn't really that interested. But now is they've redesigned the handguns. It shoots really good. It shoots fast, semi-auto, and you can carry more than just 6 bullets. And I've seen these videos of people hiking and stuff, and then they look up front and there's a mountain lion there waiting for him. So it's good to have a handgun, something that is easy to reach right away, not swing around with the rifle. If the animal is jumping at you, by the time you do this, he's already on top, and you can't really, with the rifle, you really can't get the barrel in there and try to take a shot because he's already on top of you. So what you do is you let go of the rifle, you grab for your handgun, and even though he's on top of you, you can just put it underneath and pull the trigger. There's a guy in Alaska. He's got a bunch of videos. His channel, I think, is Chooks or Chucks. It's got a weird name. And he's one of the guys that first started talking about the 10 millimeters. He said a lot of people shooting Kodiaks and brown bears in black bears. So I said, if he has enough power for that, for a Kodiak, it has enough power for anything we have here. So I'm thinking about that. So, but the rule is that if you buy a gun, you have to let go of a gun. That's what a friend of mine told me. He says, my wife doesn't mind me buying another gun as long as I sell one of the guns, you know. So I gotta see what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna sell the 357 or just keep it and stuff. I also have the 45 long colt that it's heavy. That's another thing I like about the 10. It's a lot lighter. If you get a Glock, even though I'm not crazy about Glocks, I really never liked them that much. I like the M&P, but the M&P's only been around for a year and a half. So there's some people. In fact, that guy Chuck, he said, I was watching a video last night. He said that even though the gun that he bought used from a friend hasn't given him any problems, he's heard about a lot of people having problems with that gun. He said that aesthetically and the grip and everything is perfect on that gun, but it has an issue jamming. It has an issue that sometimes you're shooting and the clip falls off. Well, you don't want that, and it has some issues. So I'm gonna start looking into the into the problems. If M&P, Smith and Wesson, uh, knows about this problem, they're probably working on it, fix it. It just it's a new gun, so you gotta tweak it, you gotta test it, you know. So we'll see. I saw a guy with a Glock. I just looked at the holster immediately, and I recognized that it was a Glock, but I don't know if it was a 10 or a 9 millimeter. If you're gonna take a 9 millimeter, might as well don't take anything. 9 millimeter on a bear, it's not gonna do much. You need something with more impact. And I used to take my long Colt, but that's a monster gun. It's big, and I got the Magnum loads, so it kicks like a mule. And it's a revolver, 6 shots. You want to be able to have a little bit more, just in case. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. I don't think it's a must. You know, I'm not in Alaska or anything. The danger is minimum, but there's always a possibility of mountain lion or bear, especially when you're gutting a deer. When you're working on the deer, you gotta keep your eyes open because they can sniff that meat and they'll come. They want to claim it. I know. I heard of a case. This guide up in. He's a hunting guide up in Montana. He was in Montana. He was taking a bow hunter for elk, and this huge sow shows up with a big bear cub, and she just came at him. And to make a long story short, he killed the guide. She killed the guide. The other bear didn't attack, and for some reason they weren't going after the meat, they were going after them. So that got me thinking, you know, sometimes because the mama bear is trying to protect the cub, very strong instinct. If you see a mother bear with 1 or 2 cubs, you better get some distance between, because she'll come at you thinking that you're gonna harm the cubs. The mother instinct kicks in, and they'll fight anybody. They'll fight a male bear, because the male bears have killed more cubs than any other animal. They have killed and eaten a lot of bear cubs. So the female bear really goes to town on somebody. They'll jump you and attack you and rip you to pieces, you know. So they tried to save the guy. When the other guy took off running, he couldn't activate he couldn't get the Glock running. He had a Glock 20 with the 10 millimeter. The guy didn't know how to activate the gun, how to make the gun work. It was jammed or something. Well, say, how can it be jammed? It has no safety. All you do is pull the trigger, or just pull back the rack and rack another bullet in there, and maybe the one that's in there wasn't, the firing primer wasn't working, or something, you know. Just eject that one and get another one in there and start shooting. He didn't know. He was so nervous and scared of what he was seeing in front of him that he just ran and got on the horse, and then got to the top of the hill, tried to call with the phone, try to get a signal. And 2 hours later, the rescues came up, show up with a helicopter to pick up the guy, and to pick up the guy was the guide. He was already dead. He bled to death. But those bears they're pretty strong. They're pretty big. And if you have a knife, yeah, you can cut a little and go punching whatever. But not a bear and a knife does not gonna do much with a knife, unless you happen to go through the skull with a real thick, heavy duty, and they got thick skulls. I don't think you're gonna do much with that. Because even if you cut the leg, or you punch them in the chest or whatever, that bear's got so much adrenaline going He's not even gonna feel nothing. It's gonna feel like a prick, like it was bitten by a mosquito. In the meantime, he's tearing off your face. So the knife is not really gonna do much. I mean, look what happened to Quebec. That French guy that tangled with a bear out there in Cajon Pass. He had a big Bowie knife, and it didn't help him. And Quebec was big, strong French guy, like a lumberjack. And they wrote down the story. It didn't help him. The bear killed him. And the bears used to be pretty big. The brown bears. We don't have any more. We have the black, but the blacks get pretty big too. I mean, we have one going through our camp. That thing was 400 pounds easy, easy. So imagine, it's like having two persons on top of you, 400 pounds. Forget about it. So I'm gonna start prepping the camper. I gotta pop it. I gotta fix a couple of the hydraulics on the shock to take the weight off when I'm cranking it. They came off. I gotta fix that. I gotta work on that. There's always something to do. All right, guys. So I'm gonna let you go for now, and I'll let you know how this one smokes at the end of the day. Later. Okay, so water the lawn, front and back. The cigar is still burning. It's a little short already, so it's getting ready to be put out. And I'm gonna give this cigar, I'm gonna start rating them. I'm gonna give it the bone, what was it? Shaker. I was gonna say bone crusher. The bone shaker, I wanna give it a 7. The Gorka, I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm gonna try another one, but I think it's close to a 5, 5.5, no more than that, because it doesn't have that aroma that it should have in the flavor. Maybe you got one that was a little weak. We'll see. So I'll try another one and give a definite grade on that. But this is definitely a 7. Not bad for what it is. It's a cheap cigar. I think I paid $15 for 5, something like that, or $18 for 5. That's not bad. $3 something per cigar. And also, it's not a huge. I don't like those big Churchills. I think it's a 44 or 45 diameter, and then there's 7 inches and stuff. I don't really. That's too long. This is 6.25. That's long enough. Don't need to be huge. It's nice and cool now. All right, so hope you're having a nice day. Later. See you on the next one.